Muchísimas gracias, Karma. Thank you so much for being so kind of doing the moderation here. We really appreciate it. Well, I have this difficult job of being between you and the cocktail. So that's always complicated. I will try to be short. Then it will be a little bit, I think, a little bit easier. This is the map of the subway of Singapore. And these are the Wi-Fi stations. And I choose this image because, well, the thesis behind this, it's a thesis that is not new. You have seen this thesis around the presentations today. The thesis is that our conception of smart cities is being disrupted. We all have this problem. It's a typical coordination problem of two entities. It's a typical market-based problem. You have to coordinate the people who want a taxi with the people that have taxis and then match them. How do we match? How do we solve this coordination problem? Well, historically, we have a simple way to do it. We have thousands of taxis doing rounds and rounds and rounds around the city, wasting oil, time, and polluting the city. And then, well, sometimes you find them, sometimes you don't find them. That depends on the area where you are, the conditions, and so on. Sometimes you have lots of people, sometimes you have lots of taxis. Is there a better way to do that? For sure. There are many better ways to do that. And then Uber show us that there is a better way to do that. We don't need to have thousands of taxis running, doing rounds to the city. You can just call a taxi when you want and you have it there. And, well, not only Uber, this way has been copied by many other applications, many other apps. Hilo, the one of UK, is popular here. But what I will want, and of course you have that in the Apple Watch if you want. But what is interesting is what happened with the coordination. Where is the coordination? Well, the simple answer is that the coordination is in the platform. We put the coordination in software. This is typically what you do with any platform. Let's go a little bit beyond with some experience. And one experience is from Finland, from where Tuija comes, and it's Kus Plus. Basically, it's the same thing. Why don't we do Uber for buses? And instead of waiting for a bus half an hour, well, you can call your bus, and then your bus has a path, and then you share your bus. It sounds like a nice idea. Well, they did in Helsinki. It costs 3.5 euros plus 0.45 per kilometer. This is Helsinki, and this is the area that they cover. That changes many things. Let's do the second example. That builds a lot on the presentation of Salvador Rueda, and you see many similarities. Well, what happens if this technology is available? Well, we don't need so many cars, so we don't need so many streets, and then, well, if we don't need so many cars, things like this happen. And what happens is that we gain space, this tremendous space that we left for cars. Now we have space, we can do wonderful things. In fact, we have so much space like this, or if you go to Barcelona in these big areas and so on, like this. So tons of space. Let's go with the third example. We have rules for cars that are made for human drivers. And for example, in Barcelona, we decrease the mortality in the city by, I think, 5 or 10%. Salvador knows much better than I do, I'm sure. Just putting 2 red lights. So when one light is red in the cross, you don't put green the other one. Because if you do that, the motorbike's speedy and, well, you have a crash. So you maintain 2 red lines at the same time. That's a typical thing that you do, particularly in Mediterranean cities, and you avoid many people to get killed. What will happen if we had one day self-driving cars? And this is something that will happen. This is a cross-section. Let's see, we managed that to work. Well, I love Max. Well, what happens in this, if you instead of having humans, you have rules that are made not for humans, rules that are made for self-driving cars, you have a much more efficient way to control traffic, a much more efficient way to drive traffic. Basically, you don't need traffic lights. You can have systems that can work perfectly without any traffic light, and that will be more efficient. We never manage that to work, I guess. Well, I had a second video that's not. Then what is the problem? The problem is that with modern times, our capacity of moving has increased a lot in terms of traffic. For example, I live here, I live down here, and then I work up there. And, well, we used to think about cities and think about governments, particularly during the 70s, that local problems must have local solutions, and these will be more efficient. We thought that local solutions must have local instruments, and by having local instruments and distributed instruments, these will be more efficient. But maybe this is no longer true, because our way of locality, our concept of locality has enlarged a lot. We move through largest space, and this largest space don't work with local solutions, don't work with local instruments. Maybe we need regional solutions, maybe we need national and global solutions if we want to solve these problems of this enlarged city. And let's go for the conclusion. Has been one of the most important men here in Barcelona. It's Ildefonso Cerdà. The city that you know, the city that I lived through, is the city made by this engineer. He was the one who made this sampling, this square thing. And this was 19th century, and before Ildefonso Cerdà, I'm sorry, the city was And before Ildefonso Cerdà, the city was like this. And this city, in this city, you had many different villages. And this different village was nothing in the middle. He was the one who built the Eixample and then built this kind of city. This kind of city served us well for many years, basically for more than 100 years. Now, I don't think that it serves us that well, because imagine, I live and I walk, and my area compares so many different cities that this government structure, instead of being an asset to solve problems, many times are an obstacle, create more problems than they solve. And maybe if we want to address this thing of the smart cities being disrupted, this thing of new mentalities and new consumptions, it's not about thinking about the instruments, it's about rethinking the city. And one of the parts that we have to rethink is the size of the city, is the size of the area, is the number of local governments or local institutions that are around this area. Again, parents managed to do that and created this city. It has lasted for us for more than 100 years. We have to do the same. We'll be able to do the same and address this problem going beyond the instruments and rethink what is the city for us. Thank you so much.